and welcome to my little film and TV channel. Welcome back if you're regular. Glad to see you again. If you're not, welcome. Hope you enjoy. Please give us that little thumbs up and get that subscription button pushed if you've not already done so. That'd be great, and thank you for your support. Right, we're going to have a look at Morbius today. Yes, a world of MCU, which for me is a little bit of hit and miss over the years, in the same way the world of DC is a little bit hit and miss for me over the years. Some work, some don't. So we're going to have a look at Morbius today. It's down as 115 minutes, but I don't think it's as long as that. It certainly didn't feel as long as that. But yeah, it's a 15 certificate science fiction fantasy drama. And stars, of course, Jared Leto, Michael Keaton, and Matt Smith, amongst others. And it's just started here a cinema run in the UK, so check your territory. That's the 3rd of April 2022. It started on the cinema here, so it's actually available. Yeah, so I think the runtime is about an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. I'm fairly sure there's a lot of credits included in that runtime, because it didn't feel long. It didn't seem long. I actually looked at the time while I was watching it. It didn't seem that long. So what's it about? Well, dangerously ill. Obviously, if you read the comic books, you probably know. I don't. I've never read these comic books. Dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder and determined to save others suffering the same fate. Very nice guy. Dr. Morbius attempts a desperate gamble. What at first appears to be a radical success soon reveals itself to be a remedy potentially worse than the disease. Yes, we've got all sorts of other films coming into this. I even think back to Jekyll and Hyde, stuff like that. So what are people thinking? A little bit mixed on this. Any good as at the 3rd of April 2022, 9 a.m. Rotten Tomatoes, just 17% positivity. That means only 17% of the reviewers and critics really liked it. That's based on 180 reviews, so it's not a low number, is it? And its average rating, a pretty paltry 3.8 out of 10. That's a bit disappointing. One of the actual consensus of the site to get to that sort of figure. I mean, there was 30 fresh and 150 rotten reviews. Not great. The consensus of the website, cursed with uninspired effects, rote performances, and a borderline nonsensical story, this Spidey-adjacent mess is a vain attempt to make Morbius happen. Not a lot of love from Rotten Tomatoes. So if you're in the stock, I think Morbius is in the stocks and they're throwing tomatoes at it, aren't they? Based on that. About the Rotten Tomato audience, they're a bit kinder. 3.7 out of 5. Excuse me. We don't have any figures for that. I don't have any breakdown of how many. But that average is 7.4 out of 10, so a bit healthier. So there is hope. There is hope that the public like it. Perhaps the critics don't, but I'm going to knock that on the head just a little bit in a moment. Metacritic, the other site we look at, average of just 36 out of 100, so a little bit better, not a lot, based on 49 critics. So 6 were positive, 24 were mixed, so that's okay, and 19 were negative. And it scored anywhere between 5 out of 100, that's a bit mean, isn't it, to 75 out of 100, a wide range. The Observer's Emily Zemler, she actually scored it 12 out of 100, very kind of her. She said, this movie is as lifeless as the body's Morbius drains and throws on the floor. All right, succinct, love. Keep it firm. And Manola Dargis from the New York Times, I think she was a little bit more positive, but still not great. Morbius is a ghoulish, suitably downbeat tale of madness, hubris, suffering, and weird science set in a world that offers little solace. And while most of it is as predictably familiar as expected, it does something unusual for a movie like this. It entertains you. Good. Positives, rather than bludgeons you into submission. I couldn't agree more with this and some of the other MCU films. As I said, are very up and down. And I do agree totally with that sentiment from Manola. Well said, Manola Dargis from the New York Times. Metacritic audience, again, they're public, 6.7 out of 10. So again, not too bad. But when we do come to the big public vote, if you like, Internet Movie Database, which has got lots and lots of reviews. I've ignored the 1 out of 10s and the 10 out of 10s, and there's about 4,000 of each. So there's a lot of people rate it as a 10, a lot of people rate it as a 1. It's got to be somewhere in between, hasn't it? Yeah, so 5,061 actually scored it between 6 and 9. and 4,735, so not far short. Only scored it between 2 and 5, so it's really split down the middle, and the actual average rating sort of backs that up. It's just 5 out of 10. It was actually 4.9 out of 10 a day before I did this review, and I went back and checked. So it has gone up slightly, but only 5 out of 10, which is, yeah, a little bit disappointing when you think the Metacritic audience and the Rotten Tomato audience were a little bit more favourable to it. So let me just sum up with my little thoughts on this. I mean, yes, this is a very much a poor man's version. It's a blend of stuff of Venom meets Blade, I suppose, stuff like that. Obviously, with a hint of Jekyll and Hyde thrown in from many moons ago. A pretty weak plot. Yes, it is a pretty weak plot. And perhaps we can be grateful, as I said, that usually MCUs are 2 hours plus. As I said, this does show us just under 2 hours, but I don't think it was as long as that. But that aside, I mean, that sounds a bit negative, but that's that aside. I do like the simplicity of it, as that other critic said before. Yes, it does get a little slow at times, but I thought Leto and Matt Smith had an interesting chemistry as the characters. I quite like them. I mean, I do like both actors anyway, and there's nothing in this film to put me off either actor, to make me change my mind. I enjoyed both the roles. And it was nice to see an MCU feature that wasn't too complicated. It was a basic introduction. There wasn't alternative universes and stuff like that. I mean, let's face it, this is, I think they've even said it. I think this is just a basic introduction to a character for his part, surely to appear in other MCU vehicles going forward in time. So I think that's what they said. And I think that's the problem with it from a big screen point of view. It has a streaming vibe to it. It has a sort of pilot vibe to it for a series rather than a one-off movie, which it's not, because we know it's leading up to other things. But it's not really a big brash MCU cinema watch, and I think that upsets people. It doesn't bother me so much, as I say, because I get, as that guy said before, you get bludgeoned sometimes by some of these things, the MCU stuff, and this doesn't do that. This doesn't bludgeon you. I mean, the action sequences are quite toned down. It's mainly one or two guys zooming around the screen, breaking a lot of things, making a lot of mess, either fighting each other, fighting someone else, or wanting to bite people. So that's basically what it is. It's always that's the film. I say it doesn't offer that much variety in all essence. But as I said, that sort of worked for me, as I said, because I do get a bit bogged down with some of the big MCU stuff. And I just enjoyed the fact it didn't throw a lot of stuff at you, and it won't live long in the memory. Of course it won't. But as I said, it was just fine for me. I thought it was, in fact, a little bit more than fine. I am going to give it my very watchable rate. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So I'm going to buck the trend. But I can appreciate other people not enjoying it perhaps as much as I did. I said I just enjoyed the fact it was a lot simpler than some other MCU stuff, and it didn't get overly complicated. I like the actors. I like the chemistry. Yes, I would have been a little bit down if I'd gone to, like most people who go to the cinemas to watch a big, massive experience. But I didn't really want that anyway. And I quite enjoyed the story. So for me, there are limitations, but as I said, it's worth a 6.5 out of 10. Let me know what you think, guys, anyway, because as I said, very mixed, sort of marmitey. The critics generally are very negative. Some of the public like it, but it's a pretty even split, really, on the public as well. But I'll come down on the positive side for it. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know your views and comments on this or anything. It doesn't matter what you talk about, films in general. I love talking about films and TV. Just leave your comments. Till we meet again, I will ask one thing. If you don't, please stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.